Okay, so today we're going to talk about dating, and I have my friends / cousins on this podcast, Bree and Steph, and we're all around the same age. Steph is 1 year older than me and Bree. So our dating is like still really young. It's not like elderly dating, like proper adult dating. It's like college dating and high school dating. And I guess Steph has been out of college now for a year. So and that relationship is out of a year. But yeah, so we're going to talk about dating. Bree and Steph, do you want to talk about your dating past? And then we could go into actual dissecting dating in our era.
Yes. Right. Bree, I said you could go first.
Okay. Hey guys, 22, very, very single right now. But I started dating. My first boyfriend was also 16 years old. That was actually a long-term relationship too, and I don't even remember how or why we broke up. But since high school, all around high school and college, I guess I've had 3 serious boyfriends. Really awkward because my mom just walked in my room and is grabbing my dirty laundry from my room.
Yeah. Okay, Steph, what is your dating past?
Oh God. So I dated a guy in 7th grade. Wasn't serious at all, but I thought I was in love. High school, went through one really rough relationship, and then that ended. It was on and off, and then it kind of ended completely when I was in college. Dated a guy my sophomore year, but I went abroad. Broke up shortly after that. Then I dated this other guy my junior year.
Jesus.
And then I knew it was gonna end because he was leaving anyway, so it was like a relationship meant to end, if that makes sense. And then fast forward to now, I am 24 in a relationship, very happy. So yeah, that is me.
Good.
Dating.
Yeah. You're like the
Short
actual
summary.
proper dater. Me and Bree, Bree's serious relationship. You're dating. And then I'm I had one actual boyfriend when I was 16, and I think it was really rough. So then it was just after that, I think that's why I didn't ever want boyfriends. I was oh, I'll just properly date someone. And then I would say I seriously dated one guy end of high school, sophomore year of college, and then I guess now.
I think I've always been in really long relationships. So first boyfriend was when I was 16, still really long. It was a year and a half, 2 years. My second boyfriend, I was a sophomore in high school. It was super toxic, always breaking up, getting back together, and it was the same thing
on and off and on and off and on.
And then my senior year of high school, I ended up dating one of my best friends, and it was rough because when you're transitioning from high school to college and whatever, we were kind of on and off too, but it wasn't the toxic way my past relationship was, and I think I was just scarred for life from that. But that was an on and off relationship for 3 to 4 years. So ever since then, I've been in a very long-term relationships. I've never dated, gone on a date until just recently, when I graduated college. So very single, trying to figure out what dating even is and what we even like in guys.
Yeah, it's weird because it's I guess we could talk about dating now in our generation, because I think it's changed dramatically. Things we see in the movies does not happen in real life anymore. So yeah, what are your thoughts on dating in this century?
I think for me, I don't really like the apps just because it's a little weird to me. I think meeting a person that you don't know is extremely foreign to me. And usually everyone that I date is someone that I know through a friend of a friend or someone from school. And so, yeah, that's my opinions.
What are your thoughts on dating in this century? I guess like for me, it's our era is really weird because we're not in like a properly dating culture. We're in a hookup culture.
Oh,
And hookup culture just kind of is shitty because when are you're not going to find you can, but you're probably not going to find your husband if you're just constantly hooking up with everyone that walks. So I've never been into like one night stands or anything like that, but it's weird because I think we were talking about this earlier, but like no guy does anything chivalrous anymore. Like taking a girl on a date. Like I think now it's just like, let's go hang out super casually, but I'm not going to take you on this like super nice dinner or something, which is just weird.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to like?
Same situation though, like my very, very first serious boyfriend, we would like go out on dates and he would like want to be able to like do stuff and be adventurous and like it wasn't like boring. Everything was always different. So I was always like used to like a routine, like text them or call them before like when you get home, like go to sleep, like whatever. And now transitioning from like adult relationships, like it's so casual. Like you're not actually like asking a girl like to go on a date or like you're literally like the guy that I recently started dating, not seeing him anymore, like he was messaging me through Instagram. Like what the no, like get my number, like talk to me in person. Like do not, that's just like what it is now though.
Yeah. And I hate that.
Sliding in the
I
DM,
don't like
like
it.
no.
Yeah, like the whole like Snapchat, like, oh, this guy added me on Snapchat. I'm like, delete Snapchat. Like, you are not getting good guys on Snapchat if they want your Snapchat. But yeah, it's weird though, because it's like people aren't even asking for your number anymore. Like, it's like,
what's your
oh,
Instagram username or?
yeah, and then that also just makes it worse because if you like connect with someone on Instagram, I was talking about this with one of my friends here because he's like kind of a dating coach, and he was saying how like knowing someone on social media before you go on a date with them and then stalking their social media before you go on a date with them, it just ruins the whole time you're on that date because then you think they're this one thing based on what they portray on social media, but when you're actually on the date you're like, what, this is a completely different person. And so that's just like how social media is just kind of fucked. But yeah, the quality of guys where they're like, oh, I'm gonna DM you, like usually it's guys that want to just sleep with you.
First red flag.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about red flags in dating. When you're dating a guy, what is like a red flag where you're like, okay, whoa, what the heck's going on? I don't think this is gonna work.
When they try to text you every minute of every single day, like I am working, I have a life.
Yeah, and I think also like I just in general hate texting. I just hate texting, and so Steph's frozen. Okay. In general, I just hate texting. So when a guy no, you're not. But so when a guy is like super always wants to know what I'm doing every second, I think it just also takes away from actually getting to know someone because it makes every interaction that you're talking to them about like less meaningful. Like, hey, if you're
makes the
texting all day,
conversation like dull. Like there's no room to catch up if you like have a conversation with them when you're like not texting them.
And that's that you've made that transition from like high school teenager like dating status to like adult, because like I enjoy when like the guy that I'm talking to like will call me randomly and be like, hey, like what's up? How's your day? Just like catch up, or we'll like see each other later. Like quick text like in between are nice, but I also agree, like I'm pretty good about like responding back to texts, but like I'm not, it gets dull and dry and like what, like why are you trying to drag this conversation up?
Yeah. I've always been
Like,
someone
hey,
who
hey,
hates,
what's up? What's up?
yeah. Like, what are you doing? Oh, you're walking? Like, cool. like it doesn't matter. That's why I think
Awesome.
like when I prefer like calls, like you said, or like FaceTime calls or something at night or in the morning or whatever. Just be like, hey, this is what's going on today. I'll talk to you later. Or,
Yeah.
but then also like at the end of the day, when you talk to the person you're dating on the phone, then it's like, oh my God, this happened and this happened and this happened. And it's like the conversation is actually like interesting.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you text, it's like, oh, cool, you're eating.
I already knew about that. Cool.
Yeah.
Don't bring it up again.
Yeah, I'd say my biggest red
Yeah.
flag, I have two very large families and like family friends and friends, and biggest red flag and like turn off is like if you're not excited or like even interested in meeting like my family and friends, and like that's who like made me like, and they're like an extension of me and like the people I love, and you're not 1% interested in like meeting them or like getting to know them, like I don't want you a part of my life. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I think family, especially like in our case, is super,
Important.
super
Yes.
important and present. And so, when is it? When is like the right time to bring home, like, introduce a guy to your family? Because that's also like, it's always hard for me because I think just our dating culture is so different from our parents' dating culture. So I'm like, okay, like I'm talking to this guy, but he's not my boyfriend, and like my mom knows about him, but like I don't want my like grandma to know about him, right? Like it's just weird.
I feel like once you've surpassed
Huh.
being like the friends and the best friends, like that's when you know it's okay to like bring them to the family. Because I think I remember when I was dating my first like really serious, we were like seeing each other for like 2-3 months already, and like he already knew a couple of my friends because we knew each other through mutual friends. Steph being the main mutual friend, but he didn't meet my family until like 3-4 months in.
Oh.
Stuff.
I think you have to take into account also, I mean, I guess dating in adult life is that their parents might not live close by. So I also think location is a big one. Like my mom lives an hour away. And I still have not met his parents or his family yet. So,
But he's from like
but they
the East
Boston.
Coast, right?
Yeah. So it's like I would have to take a trip out there to see that kind of thing. And I haven't yet. So I don't think I'm ready for that. But soon enough. But that is also a factor in meeting the parents. I feel like in high school it was so easy to meet the parents because it was like, oh, I'm coming over, I'm picking her up. Like, hey, like I'm meeting your mom right now. So
Yeah.
cool. But I guess it's different meeting them and then having your parents like hang out and merge too.
Yeah, that was really messy. A guy I dated in end of high school, our parents were friends, and then like after we ended things between us, our parents still would like want us to hang out. I'm like, no, this is so awkward. And so now I still see him at like Christmas and
Talking about him. I think
I'm trying to think about who you're talking about, but I can't put a finger on it.
It's okay. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, he's like always at Christmas. We do like a friend's Christmas together, and his family's there. And interesting. But yeah, going back to the red flags, are there any other red flags that are like, eh?
Oh, well,
when like a guy is not straight up about like tiptoeing his way around you and already being like shady, like
yeah,
How would you
And I think that
define
happens a lot.
shady, though?
I think just how, like, if a guy goes into dating without, because I think women are really clear for their reason of dating. Like, right, we have like a biological clock. Like, we're gonna eventually find our husband through the guys we date, so we don't want to spend this time dating shitty guys. And so when a guy doesn't reciprocate that, or just like wants to do the one night hookup, or like, I'm going to hook up with a ton of guys or a ton of girls, like, that's when I think it gets shady from my perspective, because I don't want that. Like, if I was someone who wanted to like hook up with people and like do the whole one night stand type thing, then maybe I'd be like, okay, whatever. If he's doing it, I'm doing it too. But like, I'm not. So I think that's when for me it gets shady, where I'm like, okay, this guy is not serious about dating. He's like wants to date other people. And so then I'm just going to leave it, because I don't want to be like one of his 5 girls that he's seeing.
Yeah, that was kind of the same situation for me, because I was trying to like word this correctly where I'm not like also throwing shade at this person, but because this guy I was like seeing was work related, so like I knew, like we all knew the same group of people, and like he had eyes like on him when I wasn't around, and like he would be like, hey, I think he's seeing someone else or like whatever, and like he wouldn't be like straight up about it to me. So when it gets to that point where like I'm questioning if I'm the only person he's seeing, like obviously that's a red flag, but I still continued.
Yeah.
So.
And
Oh
I
my
think guys are
God.
just less and less straight up these days. Like, if you talk to me about like your intentions, then I have less expectations of what this is going to be. Like, right now with the guy I'm dating, like, straight up, he, like, one of the first times we hung out, he was like, what are you looking for? And I was like, dude, I don't fucking know. Like, and that was the first time any guy has ever asked me that, where it was like usually the girl that's like, oh, well, what do you want? So that was really interesting. And I think just because even like in general, like if you go into someone, if you start dating someone and you go into it and are like, okay, I'm not looking for anything serious, but I really want to like get to know you and hang out with you, and then eventually it turns into something serious, like that's fine. But like, if you're like purposefully not looking for anything, like tell me straight up, so then we could like just be friends or hang out, and I don't expect anything out of this. Like,
Fair. I think my experience with that is kind of similar to your story, Bree. This guy was like work related. Like, we all had the same friends. Like, we all talked to each other, whatever. And me and him were hanging out, but like I was also hearing that he was like hanging out with other people. And then, like, what, 6 months later, I think he finally realized that he wanted to be with me, and then we ended up dating. That was the relationship that was gonna end because he was leaving. But it was just like, it took you like this long to realize that you wanted to date me. And so I think, I don't really know where I was going with that point, but I just wanted to explain, like, sometimes guys are dumb, and like sometimes they don't know what they want until they like have like some weird awakening, and they're just like, whoa, like, I do like being with you. And I was just like, okay,
I
well, I've
think
like been here.
that transition also started to happen at the end of college. Like, all these guys that were like just hooking up with these girls, but like didn't want anything. And then senior year came, and they had this revelation that if they don't find their future wife now, they'll never find it, or something weird. Because then senior year, so many people started actually dating. And yeah, I think guys, and that's just the whole like women mature more like faster than men. Right. And like girls know what they want like at such a young age, where guys don't figure out what they want until they're like late 20s, early 30s even. And I think that's why with the person I'm like dating now, he's like 8 years older, and so it was really different, where he was like completely straight up from the beginning, where I was like, before I was just dating really shitty college, high school boys.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't know. like you said, at our age, we already start to like figure out what we know and what we like. Especially in college, you're constantly evolving and you're like figuring that out through like work and like school and friends and like what like your worth is. And meanwhile, guys, like I even still know guys right now in like their late 20s, early 30s, and they're just like still not even ready to like settle down, and they're still like, it's disgusting like what I like hear from these people, but they're just like, yeah, just like I'm still looking for like to hook up, not settle down, like whatever. And I'm like, when do they ever figure it out? I don't know, but we're at that age right now from like in our 20s where girls are already ready to just like start moving forward a little bit with their just like whole life, and guys are just like they won't get into it
Stagnant.
until
Yeah.
Well, the thing
Yeah.
is, I think a lot of girls think that they can change guys and like be like, oh, like I'll make him like be ready,
yeah, like most of, no offense,
but you can't.
most of them are the same. They're just like not ready. They're still figuring it out. Like they still don't know what they like. They don't know if they want to be single. They don't want to be like, they don't want to settle.
True, but also
And I think that
that's
just,
good.
oh, go ahead.
I think it's good too because they like get it out of their system because you don't want to like, not saying this happens for everyone, but like I read stories where it's like they like date so young and then like I don't know, the guy is just like, I haven't like experienced everything.
Yeah.
And you just and like later on it causes problems and then like I guess there's like resentment. But like I don't know, I just feel like guys can have their time to explore and have fun, but like I know there's like a point where you're just like, I want to settle down, and they have to make that realization or revelation, not the girl.
It's actually crazy to me that some people are actually high school sweethearts and then like that's it.
Yeah,
like they don't know
because there's so much in the world.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know? I mean, obviously, like, we are not
Love the person.
dating
like,
our high school sweetheart, but like, that's,
I was
we were
dating my
so
high school sweetheart.
I mean, like, I feel like we were so young, so it's like, how would we even know? Like,
How
I
would
would be
you
like,
know
oh
what
my
you
God,
wanted?
yeah, there's like so much of the world and like so many men to meet. And I think that's also just comes with dating. Like you can't, like I think people expect to just one day wake up and find their future husband, but like it properly takes like dating shitty guys to know what exactly you want. So like the shitty relationships we were in the past, we're all just learning lessons for now where I'm like, that's definitely not what I want in a guy.
Yeah.
Or that is what I want in a guy, but just in addition to all these other things.
The good thing is one step closer to meeting that person, and hopefully they're not shitty. So
I remember when my boyfriend broke up with me in college and I was distraught because I was literally like, I'm gonna marry this guy, like we're gonna get together.
Steph, you're
Mom
freezing.
came up to me and she was like, you know, like, oh my God, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we
or is
can.
it just my image?
Now we can.
Okay, you gotta restart.
No, I don't want to restart.
So you were dating this guy and you were distraught.
I was distraught when he broke up with me. And luckily, my roommate's mom was in town, and she is honestly the best at advice. And she just talked me through it because I was a mess. 'Cause I don't remember how long I dated him, but she was just like, well, this is what you know now. What you know now is you know what kind of guy you want. And you're not just going to settle for anything or like the next one that comes across. Because honestly, like this was my first like real relationship where I was like, oh, this guy is nice to me. But I think that's all he was nice. And I think that's why I liked him because he was nice. But that was it. There was no like spark. There was no nothing. And I was like, well, my next relationship that I want is going to have a spark. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that just also ties back into just dating in our generation, because I think a lot of times I've done it in the past, is just settle with a guy because of convenience or like it's easy or I know they're not the one, but I'm having fun while I'm here. And then it's just like,
Exactly. Or it's just like being with someone. I mean,
yeah,
you just wanted someone, but it's not the way to go.
it isn't. It's all a learning lesson though. It's cool. So we actually covered a lot of topics, but let's see if there's anything else to do. What's the shittiest thing a guy has ever done?
There are two that come to mind.
You go first.
I I took my 3 friends to, I can't remember, the Dominican, and one of them was a guy that I was like with. And so we were like, whatever, the first 2 nights we were like we spent the 2 nights together, and then on the 3rd night we like went out to a club, and then I was hanging out with my other friends, and we were just like hanging out on the beach talking, and then we walked back to the room, and the guy that I was like supposedly with was hooking up with another girl in the bed. And I was like, my mom paid for this trip and I brought you on it. I mean, like, they paid my mom back, but I was like, initially she like paid for it, got it for us, and I was like, I brought you here. That was so bad.
Oh
Anyway, next story. I was dating this guy in high school, but we were like on and off again all the time. We were currently like on, and then but we were fighting, and then his number calls me and I answer it, and it's his ex-girlfriend, and she's like, well, I honestly don't even want to like say what she said, but she called me because he told her to call me to end it with me, and I was like, that is the worst thing you could ever do.
Oh my god.
Whatever.
That is.
Hold on, I have my AirPods on.
Stories.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? You guys are so quiet.
I don't think you have really good shitty stories, Steph. Like, obviously not good ones, but I mean, like,
yeah. I was like about to share mine. I'm like, is mine even that bad? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
What did you say? Sorry, what did you say?
I said you have really good shitty stories. Like, I feel like not like good that they happened, but like they were actually funny and like actually really shitty. Where I think I don't really know if I have really any really shitty scenarios.
Mine was like the guy I was just recently seeing, who I had no idea like was seeing other girls. We were working, like we used to work at the same like location. He got transferred, so like once that transfer happened, I knew like he was such a flirt, and like he was such a like pretty boy that I knew he would be like flirting with other girls. And my friends that worked at that location was like telling me what he was doing. He would like be kissing other girls' hands and like flirting with other girls in front of my friends, but he didn't know that like those were my friends. So like, because we weren't like together, like we weren't serious. And then I heard through the grapevine that he was like sleeping with another girl, and I'm like, cool. It wasn't like confirmed or anything. And like here comes like stupid social media. Like my one air quote friend was recording him and this girl like walking around our work, and he was like all over her, like hand was like on her waist, and they were just like all over each other. And that's when I like knew. I'm like, yep, all those red flags that I saw earlier.
That's weird,
like,
yeah.
So, like, he was caught in this situation, and he had no idea that I knew, because like it was on in Snapchat story. Like, of course, I found out through like the stupidest way possible, but it wasn't that shitty of other stories. But like, these stories obviously have a theme going on, like boys getting caught doing things they shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah.
Shitty.
But then hopefully they figure it out and realize.
Yeah.
I think once they pass the point of like trying to hide things and actually telling you things, even though they are shitty, then it's like, oh, I actually respect you because you've told me.
Totally.
Yeah. I don't really have that shitty of a situation.
She's in the bathroom.
I know she is. I don't think I have that much of I don't really have that shitty of situations, I think.
That's kind of good.
I don't know.
So I'm gonna put you on mute.
I mean, yeah, I think we talked about most things, right? So is there anything else you guys want to talk about dating wise that is super interesting, that would be fun conversation? I think we covered a lot.
Do you have
of
any
really
questions for me? Question.
Let's see. I was talking about like when you're dating someone, what would make you actually want to be in a proper like boyfriend girlfriend relationship with them? Because I think for me, I've always been someone who's dated seriously but never made the step to like, oh, this is my boyfriend. I think also just for me, I think boyfriend girlfriend has like a really heavy weight on it, so I never wanted to like call someone my boyfriend if I was still unsure about him. But then also I never knew when would be like the time. But I think also I guess it depends on the guy you're dating. Like if a guy was like, oh, what do you think about boyfriend girlfriend? And I was hesitant, then I would be like, okay, well then maybe I shouldn't be talking to this guy. Or like sometimes I think if you're talking to a guy and they're like, you start talking about that and then you're like, oh, I could actually see him being a boyfriend. And I think, yeah, when would that, what would happen in a relationship when you would be like, oh, this guy is going to be my boyfriend? Yeah. The turning point.
I feel like that's hard for me to answer because I've always like I said, like I'm literally repeating myself, like been in long-term relationships and just started recently like talking to other guys and like seeing other people, but so I've never made that like executive decision, like I knew they were ready to like be the guy that I wanted to be with. But I just guess from like personal experience, like if you like, I feel like if you're comfortable with each other and like you feel like you know about enough about each other, and it just like what attracts me to a guy is when they can also like take control and take initiative and like have conversation about like serious life goals and ambitions and whatever, and like you're comfortable enough that like you can, the purpose of dating is to maybe marry this person like later on in life. So I feel like once you feel like, obviously you're not like, oh my god, I'm gonna marry this guy, but like when you feel that comfortable enough that they know you enough to like make that, like once you feel like you're taken care of, I feel like that's when you know like that's the guy you're supposed to be with.
Yeah.
Essentially what you're doing when you're dating is to like find the love of your life, obviously. But that's in a hopeless romantic mind. So, but if you feel like you're taken care of and like have that support system from like your other half, essentially, that's how I feel like, you know, that's the one you're supposed to be with. Yeah.
I'm thinking.
I could tell you're thinking by your face.
Question to answer, because
that is a hard question. I never actually thought about that because it's
really scary because it's like that's who you want to be.
Yeah, I think boyfriend just has a really heavy weight. So when I think of boyfriend, I'm like, whoa, like this guy is like potentially going to be my husband if I'm actually calling him my boyfriend. Right. So I think that's why all the guys I've dated, I never was like, oh, this is going to be my boyfriend, because I knew it wasn't. And that's also just weird to realize that like you're dating, but this isn't the one. Yeah. And so then when do you continue because you're having fun, or do you just end it because you know he's not the one? I think that's just a weird time that we're in. Because it's
End it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think if you know he's not the one, then why are you still in that relationship?
Stop wasting your time and your energy and emotions on some guy that like probably
is shitty to you and hurts you and doesn't care about you and wouldn't be a good father to your children. Like,
whoa, that's really deep.
no, but it's true. Like, I think as we started to get older, I started to realize like the littlest things where I'm like, even just with some of my guy friends, I would be like, you're going to be a really good dad because they just are really good with kids. And so even just noticing that where I'm like, this guy kind of has like emotional issues. So like, would he be a good dad? I don't know.
I don't know if Steph knows how to answer this question.
Yeah,
I don't know how to answer this question.
It's okay. You don't need to answer that question. It's okay. Don't think too hard.
It's a real kicker for sure.
I think just as if that whole boyfriend thing doesn't scare you when you're actually talking to someone, then maybe it would be worth trying out.
I'm gonna think about it when I journal in my journal.
Okay, good. Let me know what you think when you wake up tomorrow.
I'll send you a follow-up email.
Okay. Yeah, I think we covered a lot of really good dating topics, and it was a really good conversation. Is there anything else that's like dating related that is coming to mind that you would like to talk about or people would find beneficial?
Cry over fuck boys who aren't worth.
Yeah, advice to anyone who is either in limbo with a guy. Yeah, advice for a person that's in limbo with a guy.
Oh, is this a question? Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, get out.
Please, yeah, get
now.
out.
Yeah.
If you know your worth and you know that you should be like the label of girlfriend and boyfriend and don't like the fact that like you're in between and you kind of don't know where this is going, you're only getting older. So just get out.
Your biological clock is ticking. So if this guy is wasting your damn time, don't date him anymore because you are looking for someone to father your children.
Yeah. Abort mission.
That's scary.
Isn't that scary? We're at that age where I'm like, every guy I talk to now, it's like, oh my God, is this
We're
the
at
one?
that age where you're starting to attend your friends' weddings. AK, I just went to my first friend's wedding last weekend, and crazy, so crazy. I know my one friend's getting married next year from college, and I'm just like the only one single out of most of my friends and just chilling. So
it's okay. We're still so young.
Yeah.
We're still so young, so it's fine. No rush. I definitely don't see myself getting married anytime soon.
I can't wait to get married, but also like what?
I can wait.
Oh my God.
Any advice to someone who's kind of like doesn't really know how to date? Because I think we've all been like pretty decent daters.
It's like the same thing as getting the job, maybe. I don't know. Lots of networking, connections.
What a great analogy.
Just go to places that I think where you can meet new people. And just be open. I think a lot of people are like so standoffish to guys who talk to them. But I think if a guy's talking to me at a bar and I'm like, I know I'm not interested, I'm still gonna give him like 5 minutes to talk to me because maybe 5 minutes down the road I'll actually be interested and he'll be really cool. I think a lot of people think like just because on paper he isn't your type that I'm not even gonna give him the time of day. But like I think in any relationship, you're going to have to sacrifice anything. So you're not going to find like the perfect guy ever. I mean, maybe, but like everyone has their own flaws. And so just giving people the opportunity to like prove their worth, even though that sounds like so superficial. But to prove themselves to you, I think is important, because I think a lot of girls are just like, oh no, he looks like this, or blah, 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 blah. So I'm not even going to give him the time of day. Just giving more people the
so sad.
opportunity. Yeah, I think it's just important to just give more guys an opportunity to have a conversation with them, because you never know.
Yeah. Because we're at that age where we're either going to be meeting like our significant other through mutual friends, or like literally when you're out at a bar or whatever, like you're not going to meet your significant other when you're sitting your ass at home on the couch and just like not feeling it. Either that, or you're on online dating websites and you're just like swiping left and swiping right. Like, go, just like, I don't know, just be outgoing. It's
Be
not hard
outgoing.
Yeah. Because
I'm
when you're
not outgoing.
Like, I don't know. Have a conversation.
Just, or like meet through
time.
friends of friends, or like my mom is like a matchmaker and always ends up matchmaking all her friends at some point. It's really weird, but like she's good, and like there have been people, she's like been in charge of like multiple people's weddings by introducing them. So like meeting through a friend, or of a friend of a friend, like I think that makes it so much meaningful, where I'm like, oh, I met this really cool guy and I think you'd actually really like him. Then it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Lauren's always trying to set me up with guys, and I'm like,
I would set you up, but I don't know anyone.
Great.
My hearing just came back in this ear. Sorry. I know, it sucks.
Yeah, is there anything else, or are we good?
I think I'm good.
I think we covered a lot of really good topics and talked through all of them. It's fun. Yeah. It's interesting to think about, because it's like I've never actually thought about my own dating like experience. It's kind of healing. It's like I just journaled on my dating life.
Yeah. It made you like reevaluate your life a little bit.
Reevaluate the person you're dating and your dating experience.
I'm not dating anyone right now, so.
What did you say?
It's okay. You don't need to be dating anyone. You have time.